Cuba, it's me, and welcome to episode 3 of the BS Hockey Show. Of course, BS stands for brother, sister. I'm your host, Elian Habanero, and I'm here with my sister, Jessika. Wow. Where do you want to start? Lots to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, eh?
Yeah.
Mostly, I think it's just all about drafts this episode. I think I'll probably cover the bases, basically.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
a
think
lot
we
of
can fit
drafting
it all
going on.
in. It's
Yeah.
going to be too much, so we'll just have to hit the bullet points. So that's where you want to start, like the Seattle draft or the upcoming new draft, or there's a women's draft too.
Yeah, I got my women's hockey shirt on here. I got this from one of our Campbell River tournaments with the women's team. So I would like to start with the women if you're okay with that.
It's your
kind
show.
of exciting this year,
your show, yeah, anywhere.
So there's a league called the NWHL, National Women's Hockey League.
Yes.
And it's a pretty cool league because this is the first league where the women are getting paid. So it's like the men's league.
Right.
And they were struggling for a while, but all of a sudden it seems like last year and this year they're starting to get big name supporters. They're getting lots of people on board. They're getting support.
Okay.
And their biggest platform for them is Twitch. So you can find a lot of information there. But for them, they've had drafts too. People might not realize that they get to draft as well. So they've had their entry-level draft back at the end of June. And that was pretty cool because there's 6 teams in the league, one being Canadian. And they drafted 30 girls overall. So.
And is it like college and university players are drafting for the most part, or even to high school?
Men.
Oh, okay.
Yep, same as the men.
And you
their
said
entry
Twitch.
Level, if they will.
Did you mean Twitch, the streaming service, or Twitter? Oh, okay, Twitch. Yeah, okay. So they stream some of the games there, or they have interviews there, or just
That's actually how I started getting really into it, because they were streaming a lot of their games in their tournament for free.
So there's 30 draft picks, so 5 per team?
Yeah, because there's 6 teams, so yeah.
When's this coming up?
Neat. That happened on June 29th. But if you're interested, there's also they're going to have their international draft here on Sunday, which is kind of neat too.
So they can choose players outside of North America.
Yeah.
And because they are getting paid, is that what's going to entice people to come from overseas and play?
I'm hoping so. And the more that it picks up steam here, then they get more sponsors on board, more TV time, and then essentially they can make more teams, get paid more. Like, we're starting with 6. Who knows where we're going to end up?
Yeah. What's the Canadian team? Where's that?
Well, didn't the NHL start with 6? The original 6,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Here we go.
So we're going to be the original. Yeah. The Canadian team is called the Toronto 6. They're out of Toronto there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of them. I just didn't know if that was the same league. There's a couple. There's another women's league that I'm a little
there's the PWHL, like the Provincial Women's Hockey League too.
Right. And then there's that tournament we were talking about in one of our other episodes too, right? The international but under 18 tournament and stuff.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, that'll
get underway. So there's lots going on. Like, I think there's a team in Boston, Connecticut, Buffalo, Canada, we mentioned that one, Toronto, there's Minnesota and Metropolitan. So there's a lot of people you can cheer for if you're into women's hockey. They need some help, they need some support. So.
And a lot of these players, are they players that have previously played on like the Olympic teams, at least like the Canadian and American girls and stuff like that? Like, are they the bigger names in women's hockey that play for this league?
There's a couple, yeah. There's a little bit of controversy around the 2 leagues right now, but if you want to get into that, I would suggest a little research so you can make your own opinion. But I feel like it's a good thing, and there's a lot of bigger names, but in general too, like you look like the Olympic teams, they only get 30 players. So this is a good opportunity for these girls because there's more teams, more opportunity for good hockey. So it makes it harder to be on the Olympic team, in my opinion.
And
they're going to have...
Yeah. Like, is their season starting kind of in line with the NHL, like around October-ish, or?
Yeah, but they'd have a shortened season because there's only 6 teams, right? So
yeah,
they don't play as many games, and
maybe just once a week on the weekend or something like that, kind of.
Yeah, but I was really excited about the international draft because I think that would be great for the sport. Can you imagine if there was other national women's teams out there that would come over and play, or making the bigger name for the league, right?
Oh yeah, it could just expand it, even go through the roof. And yeah, some of those I watched the women's Olympics, like the last Winter Olympics, and there are some great talented players from a lot of different countries on those teams.
It's smart, good hockey. It's worth a watch if you're interested anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I saw in the Olympics, but I don't think I've watched any of the league play, but I can imagine it's right up there.
Well, fun fact, my girls team, we actually got to take in an exhibition game between the Canadian team and the Sweden team out in Campbell River there. They did an exhibition game, and then we got to do a meet and greet with all the players, and that was pretty neat. That was a highlight of my hockey career, I think.
In the Pioneer
So,
days, though, too. Imagine
yeah.
how much it's grown since then.
I would love to have a local team that I could go and cheer for. Like, buy tickets and go. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's going to expand to another Canadian city at some point, you would think then.
It's all about support. So if it's in something everybody's interested in, you got to support it. Watch the games, retweet, all kinds of things.
Yeah, and you'll
Give
get
them
investors
exposure.
and sponsors and people that will want to put money into it. They'll see
That's
the
right.
potential there.
Yeah.
So are you shook from this? How's your thoughts on the whole Seattle fiasco? Everything leaked early and...
Yeah. I was actually a little more upset about that than I should have been, but with social media this day, maybe it's expected, but
yeah,
it's like I understand that the insiders have a job to do and they get paid for that kind of stuff, but what's the harm in waiting? Like, it takes all the excitement out of it.
I agree, but I also blame myself because so many times I'd be working nights and I'd, want to watch the hockey game in the next day or whatever, and then I'd spoil it myself by going online. So I'm like, man, it's my own fault. Like, it's not my own fault, but I should have known better to go on. And then I was like, oh, it's probably just it's probably not even right, the leak lists or whatever.
Well, and my point, though, is what do you even gain from it? You get your 2 seconds of fame, and half the time the information's not even right. So what's the point? You feel good that you leaked a list? Like, I don't know.
I feel bad for the league. The ratings probably went down, although I still did watch the presentation of it, and it was kind of cool. Like, they had all these local Seattle celebrities, like from the football team and baseball and the old basketball team, and a couple musicians, and they obviously gave a couple players heads up so they could fly in and be a part of it. What about the choices? A lot of people are saying how weak it was. Seattle picked a lot of weak players. Here's my take, and you can rebuttal it. The one guy said that they wanted to pick a lot of players with speed, and then I felt like they didn't want to pick players that were forced to be there. They want to sign players that actually want to come there, not being handcuffed because they have no choice. That's kind of the impression I got.
Well, and it has to be hard. Like, you're looking, you get to pick one player from each team, but you also have to be under the cap. You have to have 4 lines. You have to have leadership, but you have to have, like, I don't know. I don't think it would have been an easy job. And I don't know. I don't agree that it was a weak draft. Like, they got a lot of good players. Like, just because some people, they're not big names, but maybe they're taking the opposite effect of Vegas. Like, it seems like Vegas wanted to hit the playoffs, be successful fast. Seems like Seattle is wanting to do more of a rebuild, if you will, and trying to build their team.
Because it seems to me like,
they got a lot of players that are only 24, 25, 26 years old. So you add a trade and add a couple of guys, like, you're in the running. But I was kind of surprised about the goalie selection, in my opinion. I was thinking they were going to go more veteran presence in the back end, but the one goalie, he's only been in the league like 4 or 5 years, Chris.
I was kind even of familiar with any of the goalies, to be honest. And a lot of people were saying kind of what you were alluding to there, that Las Vegas had much stronger team. But I feel like if Seattle's in playoff contention, they can make moves at the deadline if they're close to the playoffs and they can stack their team up. But
they were smart, though. They got like the 4 big names that they got, like even Brendan Tanev. You can't count him out. He's a veteran. Good. He's a good hockey player.
And Eberle and Giordano and
and even fair, Yanni Gord there.
Yeah, Yanni, but to Gord, be fair, when Las Vegas did theirs, everyone was saying, "Oh, it's such a good team." But I only knew about 3 to 5 guys that Las Vegas knew back then, and they turned out to be so good team. So I only know 4 or 5 here, but that doesn't mean they're not gonna do the same thing, right?
Well, and everybody keeps saying they're a good team, but they really haven't won much. They haven't done much. They've been average, yes, but great, no.
Yeah, and how are they going to look next year, Las Vegas?
Well, and you don't win the Stanley Cup with good players. You win the Stanley Cup with hardworking and resilience, basically.
Good team and depth.
Yeah, depth, exactly.
Do we know
Speaking of depth, sorry to go back to that, because they drafted Yanni Gord, but he's going to be out 4 to 5 weeks or months now, because he's going to have shoulder surgery. So.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
So right off the hop, they're losing one of their big names. So.
And do they have rights to a minor league team like that? They have like the guys that they end up drafting. Yeah, do they have like a minor league team, like a two-way they can pull them up and
I'm
pull
not
them
sure
down?
if they've decided all that yet. Like, I don't know if they have an AHL team or anything yet underneath them. It's usually they make contracts. That's how, like with Utica, that's why they left Canucks, because their contract was up and they signed elsewhere.
Yeah, you got to think they have something in place, like because the draft's coming up, so they'll probably pick a few guys that are not NHL ready. You would think, right?
I think so. Well, and they already made a trade too. They traded one of their guys that they signed already.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so they're making moves. I'm wondering if they'll make any more or they'll keep their core. And when does training camp start?
September, I would think, because the preseason games start like late September or early October.
I just know one of the only rules is that you cannot trade a player that you selected back to their team for that year. Like, it's not like you can take a player and make a deal and trade them back to their team. So,
and for the draft coming up, I said NHL ready, and we talked about the draft coming up, but there's a couple guys. How many guys in this year's draft coming up are NHL ready? Do you think? There's not that many. It doesn't seem like.
You're talking the entry level?
The NHL draft.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm actually surprised this year. There's a lot of good defensemen. But I know there's a couple that express that they want to go back to college for the year and stuff like that. So sometimes it's not always about NHL ready. Sometimes they want to finish what they were doing. So, but there's a couple like Owen Power, Luke Hughes, Brant Clark, Simone Evanson. Like, those are all D-men, and they should all be selected in the first round. Like, that's crazy for defense.
And so they released the schedule too, the NHL schedule, at least the preseason games and the full schedule and everything like that. So it looks like to be an exciting year for sure. And there's been a couple other trades and a couple other injuries, like the Shea Weber thing.
I think we'll see a lot of activity coming up because really they only have 1 month to get everything and go. So I think we'll see a lot coming in the next couple of weeks, especially with the entry draft, trading picks and whatever. Because that one draft or that one trade for Philadelphia, they didn't even get anything.
Yeah, I was confused by that, and then you kind of explain it, but I'm like, wait, they don't, because usually it says like for future considerations or something. So that's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's just a cap. It's a cap thing, right? That's one thing about it. You gotta be under there.
I feel Seattle has room to sign people. Like Seattle would be under the cap. Like they still have some room to make 1 or 2 big free agency signings. So. Or maybe
and you mentioned Shea Weber, and that's unfortunate because if the rumors about Price are true too, like not looking good for Montreal Canadian fans this season.
All the extra games kind of took a toll on the team, but you got to go for it if you got a chance at that cup.
That's right. Yeah. I'm excited to see. I guess we got lots going on. So.
Yeah. What are we going to talk about next week?
I'm interested to see. Oh, I guess probably the entry draft and maybe training camp. See what trades that's happened and go from there.
All right. So closing comments on episode 3 of the Hockey Show. How do you want to end this?
I don't know. Just thanks for watching, and hopefully we keep it going here. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. Women that love hockey and their brothers as well. We'll see you next time. This has been episode 3 of the BS Hockey Show with myself and my sister Jessica. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.